Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Happy New Year,
Yeah.
2020. Let's get right to it. Everybody's all right with that? Okay, review and approve minutes from prior meetings. We all had a chance to
Yes,
peruse the minutes from the previous meeting.
yes, we did.
Can I get a motion?
Motion
Make a
to accept the minutes as presented.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, very nicely done. Let's see, we can do an update on Shop Grafton MA.
Okay. Based on review, the program went very well. People are happy with the program. One of the things I'm trying to do is to quantify how much of an impact that's had on the individual stores and the general business climate in Grafton. And I'm unable to do it because if I talk to a business owner, they say, yeah, I had a great month. Yes, my sales were up. And then my natural question is, well, what percentage of that increase is due to Shop Grafton? And nobody can quantify it.
No, sure.
So that's my challenge. When I look, the other thing I did was I compared the revenue that the town collected in meals tax from the prior year to the year before, and there was an increase, but again, I don't know how much of that we can contribute to the Shop Grafton campaign.
And you had a new restaurant open, Reunion opened this year.
They were open last year.
They were open last year.
But they were brand new, you're right. Yeah.
But, yeah,
Yeah.
there's
It's been a years.
Yeah, so I don't have a means to tell you or quantify the extent other than anecdotally, people seem to be happy with it.
Right. We're still collecting the final cards, correct?
We're still collecting cards, so if people participated in, or the people that participated in the Shop Grafton, we'd like them to drop their cards off at the town administrator's office, off the Common Antiques or Homefield Credit Union.
Yep. Okay.
I did a public service announcement on that today, and that should be up and on the air on Wednesday. So if you guys can like it or do whatever you can to circulate it on social media, that would be very much appreciated.
When's the last day that we will be accepting? Is it 10th? Yeah.
No.
It's the 8th or 10th.
What we're going to do is, we'll accept it up until the selectmen's meetings, the day of the selectmen's meetings. I think it's like around the 20th, something like that.
Okay.
So I don't know the exact date, but.
So that they can pull the winning
Exactly.
card.
So
Okay.
our goal is to get as many participants as possible, and there's no reason to have an early cutoff date.
All right.
To make a suggestion for next year,
Yeah.
if you want to put that in the, I think that they had submitted the Frosty Stop map to all the school kids in town.
They did or didn't?
They did, I believe they
Okay.
did, and it would be, if they could staple the pamphlet with one of those Frosty tags to that, and it would go home with all the students.
Okay.
Might be a better way to distribute.
It's not a bad idea.
Do we need permission from
sure.
the school
Yeah,
committee?
they probably the rec department could probably have somebody, staple it to that.
We definitely need some type of,
One,
Yeah,
well, I don't think that's the problem. I just think you just need to follow the process.
Right.
One of the things that we're looking at doing to improve it next year is using QR codes where people just simply take a picture of their phone, and that way the people don't have to get involved in
The stamping.
stamps.
Sure.
In addition, the people just take the picture and,
collect all the pictures.
yes. You don't like that idea?
No, because it takes away the interaction with the salesperson and the potential way to.
Well, it would probably be a transition. You could probably do, one or the other, and I don't think that would be necessarily a bad thing. But I think some of the people, I know when they're busy, they're trying to get things done, the last thing they want to do is take a stamp out and stamp
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But I think in order to have it, participated well, I think they're more than happy to do that. But I think it's, it would be a lot easier if they could go up to some type of barcode and boom, and snap the barcode and collect them that way. And
Oh, so I guess I should
cross-generation.
back up a little bit. Well, yes, but okay, so they have the QR code, but they have it someplace where the person has to actually get
You
inside
don't
to
have
the
to buy
store.
anything to participate.
I understand that, but at
Right.
least you want them to walk into the store.
oh,
You don't-
definitely, you want to put it in the
Yeah,
back
with
of
the
the
register.
back of the facility or whatever.
Okay,
right,
so I
exactly.
regroup.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's skip over number 3 and go right into business plan seminar, John, if we could.
Okay, last year we did the business planning seminar in January. We had probably about 30 people, and we're going to do it again this year, but we're going to do it the last week in February. And the reason for that is because on the 16th of this month, we're having the Grafton Gateway Community Meeting, and timing just wasn't good to do both at the same time. And we'll circle back to that Grafton Gateway topic.
Good decision on your part, and I think, yeah, we did talk about it a little bit, but so I think that makes a lot of sense. Would everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. The MBTA station parking update.
We looked into it, and we were able to, they were willing to give us an easement for it. The challenge we had was when we looked at the sloping of the property, it would require a retaining wall. And that just drives the cost up to a point where it didn't make sense.
Didn't make sense for who?
Us to proceed.
Well, no money for the retaining wall
From Grafton.
from Grafton.
Right.
The town doesn't have the money. If we get a grant, we could potentially do a retaining wall.
Right.
But
Because I did see a couple of snippets on the news recently that the MBTA is looking to expand parking at various locations throughout the Commonwealth. So there's a number of different things that seem to be going on with the MBTA. So I think
right.
we can probably get in line or put our hat in the ring and see if we can do something that way.
We can try. Just kind of a point for the people in the audience. The economics of adding parking doesn't make sense, because if you add, I don't know what an acre of land is, but if you add the land, the pavement and stuff, if it costs you, and this is probably a low ball, $500,000, and you're collecting $3, $4, $5, $6 per spot, when you start figuring out how long it's going to take you to get your return for your investment, if you're talking 20 years.
Yeah, I understand that, but I guess this is more of, and I think I said this originally, is this is more of an MBTA topic versus Grafton. And I don't think Grafton gets any of the funds from that parking, correct?
Correct.
All right, so this is within the realm of the MBTA.
It,
Now, their initiatives are to get more people riding the MBTA,
yes,
cut down on traffic on the roads, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
So however they decide they want to do parking budgets, I would think it was within their realm that we can get in line to do that.
oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm just saying why they don't do it as quickly and, or to the extent they should.
Yeah, but I guess, I think
Or
it's
desired.
become a little bit more pressing for them to have more people ride the MBTA, and thus they've been striving to, get it back up to snuff and get it on time and get all the particular trains up to date and in a little modern, a little more modern upgrade of to what they're trying to do. And I think parking was one of the things that they talked about
Exactly.
in those news clips.
And the other thing is, I should point out, we issued the request for proposals for 8 Pine Street, which is across the street
Street.
from the MBTA. And one of the things that we'd like to see is whoever develop it to include spots for parking for commuters.
Does,
We don't know what will happen, but that's one of the things what we'd like to see.
does the MBTA know that you worked with Worcester Development to get that easement?
No, probably not.
'Cause maybe if we let them know, hey, this
Yeah.
is available now, there's, we've done some work
Yeah.
on this, you guys could help finance it.
Right.
Because you've done a little legwork on it, so.
Yeah, we're trying to grease the skids, I guess, is what you're
Mhm.
saying,
So,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if
Uh,
they don't
well-
know that we've got an easement for them.
Well,
they
a
would
willingness
never-
for the easement,
Right,
I
well,
don't,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I'm curious, now, obviously, the MBTA controls the land and they put parking on it. They get the revenue, or they outsource it to whatever company it is that does their revenue collection. If we had, let's say 8 Pine Street, somebody says, oh, sure, I'll put in 20, 30, 40 parking spots, whatever. are they allowed? Is there any reason they can't charge for parking?
If it's on private land, the person who owns the land has the right to charge. I don't envision a way where the MBTA could reach their
Oh, right,
hands
okay.
into that
But
person's
that, my question,
pockets.
but they're allowed to, is my question. So it's attractive to them to potentially develop some portion of their land,
Yes,
okay, that might not otherwise be particularly useful, and, you know, to get that marginal additional revenue if they're already building, because now it's just the marginal cost to add a few more spots
yes,
at the outskirts. Okay, that was my question, okay.
yes.
And you'd obviously want to put some numbers to the equation there, so the idea of, you know, cost per square foot of tar or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
that makes a lot of sense. We all set with that?
Yeah.
I like it. Number 6, any other matter? We can, let's table that one and go right back to number 3. Grafton Gateway, old DPW site redevelopment.
Okay.
So, John, you want to walk us through the poster over here?
Okay, well,
Or do we want to use this?
I'll walk them through the poster.
Right, because
The
the
key,
audience wants
the
to be
key
able to
thing
see.
that I'd like to convey to the audience is that we're talking about the site across from the fire station. And we're calling it the Grafton Gateway, Grafton Gateway.
Right. And
Okay.
I guess, you know, one of the things, and I think the EDC is charged with is economic development. And in a different way, that's tax revenue to the town of Grafton.
Yes,
So I think it's important to keep this kind of the overlaying thought process is that we want to increase the tax base here within Grafton and have it something that's aesthetically pleasing to the area and useful, et cetera, and it drives tax revenue.
yes.
I think it's important that we all keep that in the back of our minds as we're going through this. That's the reason why we're looking at it as a commission.
Okay. Let me point out a couple of things about this sign over here that I'm going to walk to. During Frosty Snops, we set up inside One Grafton Common, and as people were going about their business, we asked them to take the survey. In addition, what we did is we left it in the senior center for a couple of days, so the seniors had it. There was also an online survey conducted, and we did public service announcements. In addition, what we did was we included the information in a newsletter that went to all the parents of people, all the parents who had students in the Grafton school system. So I don't call this a scientific study by any stretch of the imagination. I'm going to walk you through the results, though.
And I think, to your point, John, it's a tool to give us some type of indication on where people's thoughts are. To your point, it's not scientific, and it's not 100%, you know, I guess within accuracy of whatever, you know, is prudent for a survey. So I would go ahead and start.
Okay, Jack, can you hear me? Okay. What we did is we've asked people what's their preference. The choices were residential, senior housing, mixed use. Mixed use is when you have retail on the bottom floor, and then you can have offices on the second floor, that's optional, and then above that is apartments or housing. So it's a, mixed use is a combination of retail with housing above that. A lot of people don't know what mixed use is. Retail, obvious, office, government, parks and recreation, and light manufacturing and makerspace. It's kind of a three-way tie when you look at the results. Senior housing is a driver. Retail and mixed use is the second driver, and parks and recreation is the third. A strong follow-up is parking lot. Now, when you look at the property, the way I kind of envision it, and I don't have any final say, is that however they develop it, that there would be a path to the park behind it. And then I would think there'd also be some excess parking beyond what would be required for the units of that
or
system.
whatever's
So I-
built there, right,
Right,
yeah.
so I think the parks and parking are still going to be accommodated, is my expectation. What we would do is we would put a request out for proposals to get a sense of what the developers would like. And I should point out that on January 16th at 6:30 at Apple Tree Arts and the Grand Ballroom, we're going to have a community meeting. Registration's at 6:30 and it begins at 7. I would encourage everybody to put that in their phone right now. January 16th, 6:30, Apple Tree Arts. Are you catching this, Jeff?
Okay, great.
All right. Residential, basically people seem to think that's absolutely amongst the worst options. Government buildings didn't do too well, and light industrial didn't do too well. So, and people would like to learn more, and that's part of the January 16th discussion. My thoughts is, as a economic development committee, I think it'd be beneficial that the committee could be
No, I think,
supportive of
yeah,
the options and
Right, exactly.
make recommendations as to what they would like.
Who else would be in attendance at this meeting from our side, of the town side, John? Any developers, or?
No
oh, this
developers
is
are
more
going
of
to
a
be.
customer, or?
Basically, we have some engineers, Horsley Witten, engineer planners,
Okay,
and they're gonna come and they've designed some conceptualized plans.
oh, perfect, okay.
And I should point out, in addition to developing this particular lot, one of the things we're looking to do is call it a gateway. So we're looking for it to transition towards the common.
Right,
So, we talked about having like a brick walkway as you're going up to the common with some period lighting to really bring out the old New England, so it becomes a signature of Grafton.
no, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I think, to your point, I think January 16th is gonna be a very informative and actually a very telling type of, an
Right.
event, so I'm excited about that. That's gonna be great.
Is any of the extra land behind the library going to be for recreation?
Yes,
I thought there
Yes.
was a portion of that. So that, it doesn't satisfy putting a new park in that part of town, but it adds something. So you're gonna have one on each side of, you have one near the elementary school, then you have one near the library.
right.
Is the super park going
No,
by the
it's-
library? No, that's not.
It hasn't gotten any traction, I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, the super park would be behind the library, I
I
believe.
thought that was tabled, right?
Well, I-
No, no, it's
No,
active.
It's active, oh,
Exactly,
It
yeah.
is.
my
It's
bad.
waiting for the library to finish.
Got it.
Okay.
But no,
All
because
right.
the monies are earmarked, because they were grants and some other things, so a large portion of the money at this point is in an account,
Okay.
and it can only be spent on Super Park.
Perfect.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
So that
Good.
is,
Good
that
to
is
know.
active, just, tabled, not tabled,
Postponed,
slow road,
slow road,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, long runway.
On a
On the
detour-
back,
on a
it's on the
detour.
back burner.
yeah.
Oh, because now that you say that, I remember, again, that there was gonna be
Yeah.
a park portion to that thing, but I
Yeah.
didn't realize it was gonna be the super park thing. Okay, all right.
Well, the
Yeah, I-
replacement, the,
No, I
I
yeah.
think that's noteworthy, because I think, you know, obviously the super park being there at some point would
Knock that.
discontinue
Right.
the idea that we would need parks and recreation
Right.
in that site. I mean,
Mhm.
The
doesn't make-
pathway to the park, the Norcross, is it Norcross?
Yes,
Ballpark?
there'll be a path.
Yeah, so incorporating
Potentially.
that and then having super park.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's plenty.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now,
especially with the need for tax base.
with
Yeah,
the,
my number one is something that's gonna generate income.
Yeah.
right, because with the events that we've been having at the Common, I mean, I've gone through there and I haven't had an issue trying to find a place to park. And I haven't heard, you know,
It's
a-
challenging.
My view of parking is there's parking.
Right,
absolutely park it. The only question is, are you willing to walk the
yeah,
distance
okay,
that's required?
yeah.
Makes sense.
So if we,
Oh, yeah.
if we, in line or in concert with the redevelopment or the, not the redevelopment, but the rework of the common itself, kind of take that brick pathway or whatever they decide to use and carry that across the street to whatever lands at the DPW site, as you said. A nice, maybe a brick walkway with period lighting or something to that effect.
Is there-
You know,
Could you
tie
have
it all together.
on-street parking down 140?
State highway, they'd have to
No.
get
I
state
don't think
approval.
Interesting. All right. Here's a question, so there'll be extra parking when the library is built.
Mhm.
We're hoping to have a little extra parking if the site is redeveloped. What
You would think
about,
there would be some.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then
okay.
down on, and I don't know the address, Irene might know this more, where the old high school was on Worcester Street.
Yeah.
that-
Mhm.
Is there an opportunity to have the Commission on Disabilities look at what it would take to have that made into some parking? Because someone said if you make that into a parking lot, it has to be handicap accessible, so that sort of negated the whole conversation. I would like to have somebody look into how do you advertise that lot down there, because people can park there.
It has been used as overflow parking for events.
It's never advertised that. It's never, there's no signs that say,
Oh, no, no,
You can
it's
park
it's
here.
advertised on an ad hoc basis per event.
correct, but what I'm saying is to
Right.
the general public coming up to go to an event on the
Right, they would
common
not know.
or
You
shop.
have to live in
Right.
town to even
How do
be
we
aware of that.
earmark a section of that for public parking and satisfy any ADA requirements? Because that's just sitting there, all that land is doing nothing. It's not a dog park, it's not a park, it needs, I think it needs some attention, some use.
I don't know,
what's the
maybe when
address
the
on
new
that?
planner comes in, you could, you could
What-
talk to he or she.
Well, they're probably gonna have a lot more to do than,
Well,
you know, and
it's
so-
obviously important to you, and I think that's something that you'd want to address with them, but, I don't know the ins and outs of ADA or parking or anything like that, so.
To me, it sounds worth looking into, because I agree, particularly in the summer, with the farmer's market, with the concerts, and then even at Christmas time, the common gets kind of busy, which is a
Yeah.
good thing. It makes perfect sense to me, not only your business, but also Bushel and Peck.
Apple
could
Tree Arts.
certainly do some additional parking. Apple Tree Arts could certainly use it. I wouldn't want to turn the whole thing into a parking lot, but even if you did a strip that had 10 or 12 cars, even that is going to help take off some of that pressure.
Maybe we talk to Doreen a little bit about it, maybe
Yeah.
selectman-wise,
Yeah.
select person-wise.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
and it has been used as overflow in the past.
Okay.
I know Quite Fetchin had offered to put a dog poop bag receptacle container there, so people can park down there, walk their dogs up towards Common. So there's definite interest amongst people around the Common, so.
All right, can we, any other thoughts or comments with regards to this? I just tell everyone and everybody that January 16th is the time and the place to head over and give some feedback on the Grafton Common Gateway.
And you
Yes.
did a Facebook announcement, right?
We did
On
the
the
public
town.
service announcement today. I don't know if it's been posted
If there's
yet.
a-
If
On
you,
the town
if you
of
get it on
Grafton,
FB, then we'll pump it out as well.
So one of my big questions would be, at what point is it worth selling versus keeping?
The parcel of land down on Worcester Street?
No,
Oh.
that one I think is pretty much just, it's worth keeping. I don't see it selling for enough or being sold for anything that would generate anything. The only thing I see us ever putting there
Housing.
would be some nice senior housing. No, I'm talking about this parcel, the DPW parcel.
Well, that's what we're talking to doing,
Right.
right.
But
What was
we're
your
talking
question?
about how would it be developed, and even if you say, okay, look, we're gonna get someone to come in with a proposal for a mixed-use residential, or, retail
Right.
residential, the question still remains, do we maintain ownership and we lease it, or do we wanna sell it off?
I think the town would issue an RFP for sale.
Okay.
That's why I think makes sense, but that's part of the discussion on the 16th.
Right, okay.
We should not
'Cause
be
that would be
property
my,
owners.
that would be my preference, if you're gonna have
Yeah.
income-producing commercial property, that really needs to be in private hands.
Yeah.
tax income, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tax income and a number of other considerations.
Any other thoughts, comments?
No?
Awesome.
Okay.
Number 6, any other matters that may legally come before the commission? John did some good work on this.
Okay.
Thank you, bud.
Oh.
Did you wanna talk about, vacancies, or?
There is a vacancy on the Economic Development Commission.
Yep.
And we're looking to add a person.
All right.
That would be important.
Oh, yeah,
Is
for
there any
sure.
requirement, or is it just a general vacancy?
It's a general vacancy. The process is they would submit an application to the town administrator, and then they would get appointed by the Board of Selectmen.
And they do not have to be a Grafton resident, they just have to have a business in Grafton.
No, they can be either a resident or a business owner in Grafton,
Right, right. You don't
Right.
have to just be a Grafton resident.
Correct.
if you're a business owner, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's important, because like, for example, in Finance Committee, you have to have a certain number of people from each of the precincts.
Right.
Whereas this one, that's why I said it's a general.
General seat, right,
Yeah.
not a district or precinct street,
Yeah.
seat. Any other thoughts? Everybody had a good holiday, I assume?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Very good.
Well, Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second?
We're outta
All
here.
in favor?
Yeah. Thank you.